Good morning and welcome to day 5 of this 30-day adventure to great photos. I hope yesterday was very helpful and you started looking at your environment differently, that you started looking at it through stories. What is happening around you? What can you tell as a photographer in your images? This is something that when you have that mind shift, it starts making everything a little bit more interesting, whether it's objects, whether it's people, whether it's landscape. You can always find cool things to tell and really leave that emotional trace with your viewer. I cannot stress enough how important that emotional aspect of a photo is. It's just like a good movie. A good movie will leave you with emotions throughout the movie. It's going to change. You're going to have different feelings, different thoughts. You will remember a great movie because of all that. So today I want to move from the story aspect to what I call the scene. The scene is, simply put, where your story is taking place. Very easily explained. If you go to the theater, if you go to watch a play, you will realize that your actors are on the stage with a decor, and that stage with a decor and your actor is what I call the scene. There is a very big difference between the scene as a composition. I will show you on location exactly what I mean by that, but the scene is where your action takes place. The composition is going to be how each element is organized in order for you to see your subject better and where you place your subject. This is composition, and the overall thing is the scene. It's a little bit like a cooking recipe. You have the recipe, you have the ingredients, you have the equipment, and then you have the final product. But the scene would be basically your recipe, and then how you use each ingredient is going to be your composition. Alright, in order to make it even more easy for you to understand, I'm going to show you a few examples. I was here in the metro of Tokyo and there was this beautiful, I will call it, stairs going up and down, and I felt that the light and the composition was really interesting, and I thought this is a great scene. Let's see if I can add a story into that scene, because you can either find a story already happening in a scene or you can integrate your own story. So I just waited a little bit. This was shot with my phone, and I realized those people started walking down in groups. And I found it really intriguing because although they are in groups, they're kind of all alone, and that's what I wanted to translate, is that although you might be in a group, you can still have some loneliness in there. And then I just waited for another shot where that person was alone. You can see her, she's arriving at the top of the stairs, and then she's completely alone. And that's the feeling I wanted to give to the viewer, that feeling of loneliness in what I would call very clean looking environment. That is something you want to be thinking about when you're taking those photos. What can you tell? How can you tell it? And really, what kind of emotions do you want your viewer to have? So finding a good scene means that once you have it, you're going to compose it properly, and then you're going to be working with your subject to get the impact you want. Here's another example that was shot in the streets of Tokyo again, and here is my scene. This is basically that whole area with the street. We have that really cool street looking by Akihabara with that building in the background, and the story that is happening for me is that woman walking in that direction, and that guy over here that is literally started running, and we don't know why. And this is exactly why I wanted to capture that shot. I saw it happening live. I got lucky enough to get the shot, and once I started looking more into it, it really made me think, what is happening? What is the story going on here? It really leaves me a sentiment of intrigue. But I really found that nice scene that I thought was great for photos, because we have that contrasting red background, we have the very clean path for pedestrians, and those two people are just interacting, and we can even wonder are they linked or not. So remember, when you have your scene, there can be tons of stories. What I want you to think about is how are you going to organize your elements, and how can you use that part to tell better stories. I want you to think about what scenes do you like, and then what kind of story can you tell in that scene if you don't already have the story in mind before finding the right scene. Here's another example that you might enjoy. It was in the Yosemite National Park. I was on an eco road trip with the tourism board with the Tesla, and the goal was to share my adventures as a photographer on an eco road trip in the park. So what I did was find different scenes that I really enjoyed, that were very iconic, and capture different stories in that environment. So there is one with a car just being there, and driving through the park, which gives you a little bit of context how it's working out. Then the same scene has different stories, and that's why I wanted to show you. If you just move a little bit differently and then compose it a little differently, you get completely different results. So you get different feelings, and obviously we arrived to a shot that was unprotected, again on the same scene, telling completely different story. There was this couple that helped me get the previous shots, and I saw them after walk in that distance, and I thought the shot was just epic. It could tell a shot of adventure, of romance, of love, and I was like, I have to get that shot. I got the shot in the exact same scene as here, different angle, different composition, and this is what we get. We get with the same scene many different kind of stories depending how you decide to use those elements. The last one is simply me just handling my camera, so you can get a better understanding of me being a photographer in that park and living my own adventure. Every single one of those shots had a very particular scene, but that scene could tell so many stories depending also on your subject and how you organize those elements. So this is a concept of scene I really want you to think about. So your mission for today, if you choose to accept it again, is going to go through your day and try to find scenes where you would like to tell stories. Be like a director of a movie. What kind of scene can we create, or what kind of scene can I use for the best stories in my day-to-day, in what I'm going to go through, or in my current environment? Try to think about it and then write in your notebook, what kind of scene have you found? What did it look like? Did you have a story in mind when you arrived, or did you find your story after? And how would you organize the elements in your scene, aka the composition, in order to tell something stronger? How would you use the light in that scene? Okay, I want you to do that, and remember, you can find cool scenes, cool location, and only after find interesting photos to take. I really love that scene with the small street, the back alley with the tall buildings, and I felt like it was a really cool place. Now, I didn't have a pure story in my mind at the beginning, and I was like, okay, I want to tell something maybe about being alone in that blizzard or fighting the elements, etc. So then I just waited for a few people to pass by and find a single player going through a single subject, and that's how I got the shot. So you don't have to necessarily have the story at first. You can have a cool scene and then find a story that you want. Now, I hope this is helpful, and I can't wait to hear from you tomorrow. Good luck with finding your scene. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.